Hello everybody. I go by Stella. I live in the city, hence Stella in the city. My channel is very random. I like to upload random videos, and one of the random videos that I'm going to be talking about today is it's been 1 year since the panoramic, as a lot of people like to call it. Yeah, so it's been a whole year since the pandemic really, I want to say, hit South Africa. The first case I think was really reported in South Africa around mid-March-ish, and that's really when we went into lockdown as a country. And I just thought I'd like to do a reflection, really how it all started and where I am right now, because I really did not think that a whole year later that I'd still be stuck at home, although pretty much all the lockdown restrictions have been lifted in South Africa. We still have to practice social distancing because the virus is still a thing, and in terms of the vaccination, I mean, we are really trailing quite behind compared to a lot of countries. Anyway, so let's start with beginning of 2020. When I went into 2020, I went into the year feeling slightly nervous about the year. I mean, it started off well enough. I had spent the December holiday, a little bit of the December holiday back at home in East London. I had brought in the New Year's with my family. It was a really lovely time. I came back to Joburg, had some good times. And it was like a, I could see this was going to be another average 20,000 and whatever kind of a year. But I do remember making my bed in my previous place, and I was thinking, and I was like, yo, I'm feeling quite nervous about this year because I don't know if I can maintain this fast-paced lifestyle that I had come to really love in Johannesburg. Now, let me get one thing straight. I really do love my life. I really did love my life prior to the whole pandemic thing. I had a very good social circle. I had a, I liked my job. I was studying, like I had a really full life. By no stretch of the imagination was my life perfect, but I really was quite blessed with a good life. After just thinking, yo, I'm really nervous about this year, I carried on and gave myself a pep talk as I normally would. Listened to some encouraging videos driving all the way to work, and it was just really an average kind of, like, you're feeling a bit of a dip. I'd listen to a good Stephen Furtick, or a good podcast, Jesus and Jollof with Yvonne Orji and Lavi, a whole bunch of other podcasts to really just pull me out of the, I don't want to say funk, because I was really not in a funk, but I just needed that extra energy boost, that, like, focus. You've got your goals, you need to really focus. And normally each year I write out a set of goals for myself. One of the main things that I always punt in my channel is the balance, or the harmony, or the flow between the mind, the body, as well as the spirit. And that's exactly how I would normally chart my goal set. So for the mind, I'd have maybe 3. For the spirit, I'd maybe have 2. For the body, I'd have 5, or whatever the case may be. I would never really allow myself to go over 10 goals, because I do not believe in having too many goals to achieve in one particular year. I normally film these goals and then put them up on this YouTube channel that you're currently watching. And by the way, thank you very much for tuning in, and welcome to my weird and wacky world. Normally what I would like to have done with this channel is really to do a lot more road trips, but again, panoramic, and I'm taking it maybe way more seriously than what a lot of people are doing, because I see a lot of people are traveling and doing the things and the things and the things and going the things and the going everywhere. I'm staying at home. Maybe I'm a bit of a hypochondriac. I don't know what the right thing to do here is. And I remember being at work, and me and my colleagues were really, we really started chatting about this virus that was found in Wuhan, and the way that they had described it was like a really bad flu. And I was like, why is this making headlines? A really bad flu, like really. And you know, they sounding the alarm bells. And I generally, or I have been trying over the past few years to not read too much of the news. That's a story for another day. But whenever I'd catch up on the news every now and again, really the story about this virus that's been found in Wuhan was really making the headlines. When it was contained, well, they were trying to contain it in Wuhan, and they were counting the number of people that got this virus. I remember my colleagues and I, oh, it was just actually just an average day. It was actually just an average day for us where I work. And then I remember when Wuhan went into some form of lockdown, and again, it was an average day. Then rapidly this virus increased to the whole of China, and China was starting to put measures in place to try to lock down, to ban travel, to put in travel restrictions, and so on and so forth. And I remember when it started leaving China, going into Eastern Europe, into the rest of Europe, and it just started wreaking havoc, especially in the places like Spain, as we know, Italy and France and those kinds of places. And I remember still, it was almost like sort of an average day, because it was just so far removed. It was really on a whole nother continent, on another hemisphere. We're all the way down in South Africa, and a bunch of my colleagues and I, if I'm honest with you guys, we used to really make fun of this. I don't think we actually understood the gravity. I don't think anyone really understood the gravity of this virus. We would be like, look, I mean, we're good. This virus, I mean, we used to say things like, this virus is really for rich people. People that have traveled to overseas, they need to worry. I'm just chilling here in Johannesburg, child. I don't need to worry about this virus. And now, looking back, I'm like, lol. So, beginning of February-ish, yeah, I remember one of my colleagues started to work more and more from home. This was not abnormal. Sometimes, you know, a colleague, we would call in every now and again on an abnormal day to say, look, I need to go to the doctor, and for me to not get stuck in traffic, I'm going to work from home today. You know, it wasn't abnormal. But to work from home for more than 2 days was really abnormal in the environment or the place which I worked. And so when I spoke to him, I was like, dude, are you okay? Are you sick? Is you know, one of your kids, you know, in trouble, whatever? And he was like, no, it's just the company has said people like me with my skill set. Now he works, as I mentioned before, I work in an IT environment, and I spoke to him to find out exactly what was happening. Be like, dude, are you okay? Is everything okay at home? You know, are you sick? Blah blah. And he was like, no, everything is all well, all good. It's just the company had approached people like him who work who have his kind of skill set to work from home, to make sure if there's at any given stage, if there's any emergencies, that, you know, he's properly set up to work from home, so that the organization can carry on functioning in as normally as possible with people working from home. Now that didn't sound any bells for me. So here's another thing. I tend to really mind my own business. I have a couple of people in my life who always just say, girl, you live in a bubble or under a giant rock. Like, what you tell me is what I will believe. Nothing really, no conspiracy theories started to go off in my head at this point in time. And I thought, okay, cool, well, good luck. I'm sure it's nice to not have to come into the office every single day and get stuck in traffic. I mean, I really feel bad for you. It's like, no, it's not that much fun staying at home. I miss the team. I mean, I work with a bunch of awesome people. You know, so like our team was really, really close, and we used to laugh all the time and whatever. So I can imagine that. I mean, of course, I was part of that team, so it would have been awesome. So now we're headed towards the end of February. Yeah, I would say, I think the last week, I would say, of February, our team lead came to us and said, look, we have been approached by the powers that be that 50% of this team needs to start working from home. Now, at this point, you know, this was becoming a bit of a, the way that the World Health Organization was terming it, it was a bit of a health crisis. This was something to really watch, but really just sounding the alarm to take this quite seriously. And also at this stage, people had really started dying around the world. We knew that when it starts hitting the continent, it would likely be in South Africa and or in Nigeria. Start working from home and make sure that we're enabled to do business as usual from home. Everyone was free to volunteer. Now, keeping in mind, knowing that beginning of the year, I was like, I'm still quite exhausted, and I need a break. I was the first person to put my hand up. I was like, look, if you need someone to work from home, I'm happy to work from home. Well, again, this is so funny when I look back, because I really thought this was going to be like 2 to 3 months. So now the following day when I started working from home, I remember speaking to the team lead and I was saying to her, look, there's 1 or 2 things I want to complete. I really want to come to the office. Can I come work from the office tomorrow? And she was like, look, we've been told that once you leave the office, you're not allowed to come back. And I'm like, but wait, how long is this going to carry on for? She was like, indefinitely. I said, oh, indefinitely. I thought 2 weeks, 3 weeks. 3 months max. Again, lol. I'd started working from home and school was still carrying on as normal. We're still going to class, but there were conversations to say, guys, you know, we might not be able to carry on with the rest of the semester. Look at how things are happening globally. Started to really kind of panic as to if this is just a flu. Like, why are all these measures being put in place? I think maybe a week later, the first case or patient 0, there was a repatriation of South Africans from Wuhan to South Africa and they had to quarantine. The only thing that was really known about this virus is that you had to stay at, you had to be quarantined for 2 weeks before you can be let loose into the rest of the world, even if you don't exhibit any symptoms. But it has been shown that after 2 weeks, the virus really is no longer contagious. Yes. Anyway, so this plane was repatriated into the country, and then boom, it happened. The first known case in South Africa was found, and I believe they landed in Johannesburg and they went to East London, my people, and this person exhibited all of the symptoms, tested positive for the coronavirus. Oh my gosh. And this person was told, go home, quarantine at home. This person said, nah, I'm gonna go to the mall. The whole contact tracing and whatever was taking place. And I do believe, stand to be corrected, but I do believe that that person was actually arrested. Or were they arrested? I think eventually they were arrested, because it wasn't then, it was not a crime for you to, knowing that you've got the virus, for you to be out and about. There were guidelines that were thrown out there that we need to really be careful, start practicing social distancing, and we know we need to be washing our hands all the time. And then poof, all the soap disappeared. and then we're told to sanitize, and poof, all the hand washes disappeared. And then we're told to disinfect, and then there was no domestos. And if you know me, you know I would have had a proper meltdown, because I cannot do life without domestos. Also, again, disinfectant, there was no Dettol anywhere. And then when I could find Dettol, the price had skyrocketed from like 20 rand to something like 50 bucks. I was like, the audacity of charging us so much for Dettol. Now we came to March. Then the president called the very first. Oh, before I carry on with that, I have to tell you, my previous landlord, he came to me and he said, one of my kids, they go to this prestigious school, and this minister, who he's a member of parliament, had said, you guys need to just go and pick up a few things, because a national lockdown order is going to be instituted in the country. Now, as far as I know, since really I've been alive, that kind of stuff has never happened. I do know that during the apartheid era, you know, there were curfews that were put in place, but to be told to stay at home 24/7, do not go out, do not do anything, that was new to South Africans. Anyway, excuse me, I'm quite gaseous, not doing very well. My health hasn't been great lately, but that's besides the point. Anyway, so after that, I think I texted maybe my sister. I don't think maybe I texted my cousin, and literally a couple of friends, to say, you know, heads up, I've been told this in secret, and already there were rumors about this. Or actually, when I told this one friend, she came back to me to say, oh, I heard the same thing. Now, of course, being typical, maybe human beings or typical South Africans, we went to like a deep dark place, because my landlord, bless his soul, he's a legally registered firearm owner, and he was telling me that he went and brushed up on his shooting skills and he bought enough bullets. I started freaking out, and then he said to me that you know, because people are going to be losing jobs, it's just going to be mayhem, it's going to be mayhem. The way that he had explained it, it was going to be Armageddon. And I was like, but I've read Revelation, and none of that has happened in Revelation, so relax. Anyway, I did a bit of shopping, whatever. Then the president came and he said, my fellow South Africans. I've hated that phrase since then. Oh, and then he said, these are unprecedented times. I also still hate that phrase so much. Told us that we're going to be going into level lockdown. There's level 5 lockdown. There's various levels. We're going to be going to level 5 to flatten the curve. At this point, we had maybe a few hundred confirmed cases, or a few thousand confirmed cases of the coronavirus. I remember no one could really say it on Instagram or YouTube. Those were the really two social media platforms that I used. If you used that word, you were banned, or your post was banned or banished or whatever. I can't remember, because there were so many untruths that were being spread. So I think they just said across the board, if you said coronavirus, you know, your video or your post will be taken down. And I mean, it was still a bit funny in the sense that there was that song that went, coronavirus, coronavirus, and it's getting real, it's getting real. Whew. I'm tired. And they said whenever we go out, we need to make sure that we are wearing masks, and we need to sanitize, and really it just was like, whoa, this is so weird. This is so weird. The only time that I really get to watch the president speak is when he's giving the State of the Nation address, when it's always going to be interrupted by the EFF, or any member of parliament really speaking is when the Minister of Finance gives the budget speech. But outside of that, I don't really engage in watching any of that kind of stuff, really. So like watching that was really serious for me, because I was like, now I have to find a way to watch the president. And thankfully it was streaming on YouTube, but that's again besides the point. So we went into level 5 lockdown. I lost my mind. I've been losing my mind since. Okay, so and like in the true sense of I lost my mind, because I already struggle with insomnia. Now, the measures that I had put into place for me to be able to sleep at night included me exercising. That would either be me going for a walk and or going to the gym. Now, when I am told I need to stay indoors, and where I stayed really didn't have a balcony, didn't have an outside space, I had to stay really indoors. I was not sleeping for 2 weeks straight, because that was a 21-day national lockdown order. For 2 weeks I didn't sleep, and never mind the fact that I just couldn't sleep. If I slept, I'd be dreaming about work, because so what had happened was, I thought I was being clever. I said to myself, now that I'm working from home, I'm going to take advantage and work a little bit later, because I'm stuck in meetings for most of the day. If I start working a little bit later and sending out the emails and doing all the admin and the things and the things and the things, tomorrow when I come back to work, you know, I really will be up to date. Well, it seems like everybody that I know had the exact same thought. So while I'm sending an email and I'm like, email sent, now I can take that off. Person comes back, hi Stella, can I call you quick? Can I have a quick chat? I'm like, it's 9 p.m. But okay, I've got nothing better to do with my time. And at that stage, class had been cancelled or postponed, you know, just to try to suss out what's happening. You know what I mean? A lot of businesses, you know, came to a standstill, and so then it was literally, I was working from 6:30 up until 10-11 at night. My life was work. A lot of things are starting to make sense now. Anyway, so where are we now? We are in March, and I started wearing a mask, and really this new life of living in the pandemic started becoming the norm. Now here's where I said I completely lost my mind. We were told that under level 5 lockdown, if you are found like walking around, being around, you will be arrested and thrown in jail. Now me being me, I'm like, I'm too pretty for jail. I'm kidding, I didn't say that, but I'm like, I'm too scared for jail. And also where I stayed then, it was around the corner from a military base, which was also where the military was deployed in order to institute the national level 5 lockdown. So I was like, not only will I maybe be arrested by the popo, but there might also be soldiers that will arrest me, so I will not take that chance. Thank you very much. Then, Lord have mercy, 2 weeks later, I really thought I was gonna go nuts. I was like, stuff this. I don't care if they take me, they arrest me, they can put me in a jail. I am gonna go for a walk today. So this is what I did. I took my bank card and I took a shopping bag and I put on my walking stuff and I went for a walk, because what I was going to say to the popos that I'm walking to the shop to go and buy bread. And so yeah, you had to have your ID as well. So I had my ID, my bank card, as well as a shopping bag with me, so whenever I'd go for a walk. But it wasn't fun, but I also had to walk towards the way of a shop, only to find there wasn't really much patrolling of the popo where I stayed, or even soldiers really. They were deployed in other areas, but again, that's a discussion for another day. So yeah, anyway, so we eventually went into level 4. We flattened the curve. Now here's the thing that makes me a little bit bitter. All the people, I think that's actually when I really went off Instagram, if I'm honest with you, because every single last person was baking freaking banana bread, and everyone was talking about self-care, and everyone was talking about, oh, we'll never have this chance again to rest in all of our lives. This is so amazing. I am having video calls with people that I've not spoken to in ages, and everyone was positive and happy, and I hated it because I was working freaking 14-hour days. Yo. Yeah, so whew, I was just thinking of telling how hard that was. Then we started with school, working those crazy hours, and I was still at school. School was horrible, terrible. See, I'm not a virtual learner. I'm not a distance learning person. My learning style is to be during the people, and to, in as much as we were having virtual class where I could interact with the lecturer, having my classmates around me, being in a classroom situation, I really found it lacking, and my marks started to plummet. Okay, second semester they went up a bit, but not as good as what they would have been under normal circumstances. Even now, I'm still struggling. And I guess one of really the lessons that I've just learned coming out of 2020 is that I'm not strictly an introvert. And might be a little bit of a hypochondriac. And then another lesson that I've really learned, generally I'm not the best when it comes to the telephone. Like, you have to, there are really maybe 3 people in this world that I can tolerate being on the phone with for longer than 3 minutes, because this is really the only form of communication. As I said, generally I'm not a phone person. I don't like sitting on my phone. I prefer physical interaction, because this is really the only form of communication that we have. It's actually given me a lot of anxiety sitting on the phone, and I don't use that word flippantly. I'm not trying to be flippant when I use the word anxiety. It generally causes me a lot of anxiety, because at any given stage right now, I'm currently sitting with 200 messages that I need to read through and reply. And yeah, man, flipping, yeah. So a lesson that I really learned, I'm really not a phone person, and I've been trying to become better and do better. And I understand that I also live alone, so people are genuinely concerned if they don't hear from me in 2 or 3 days. But I just, I'm terrible. It really, I don't know what to do. It just it really just, it's so bad. The lesson really that I learned is sometimes resting is not a physical thing. Sometimes resting can just be like spiritual resting, or just mental kind of resting, even though things are still carrying on. And I don't know how to explain it other than that. And I remember texting a few friends, and I was like, look, I know that I committed to doing this initiative, but I'm feeling quite overwhelmed right now, and I'm not in a good headspace for me to carry on with this kind of initiative. I'm still kind of recovering from that. Everyone's like, oh, this is the new normal, and I hope and pray that this is not the new normal. I know that things are never going to be the same. Another lesson that I have learned is that things have changed. Things have changed. Things will change from what we had known beginning of 2020 or 2019. But I hope and pray and pray and pray and pray and pray that this is really not the new normal, that we will come back to a situation where I can, you know, go to theater, guys. I miss going to theater. I miss going to watch live music. I miss going to a festival. I miss going to church. I miss hanging out with friends. I miss having braais, you know. I even miss going to class. I miss being in school. I miss being physically at work. I miss all of those things. And as much as I enjoy the idea that I'm not going to be sitting in traffic, I actually miss even sitting in traffic, being frustrated with Johannesburg traffic. I'll tell you one thing that I genuinely do not miss is the fear of smash and grab. I do not miss living. I do not miss leaving school at whatever time we'd finish class. No, it would normally be after 9. Having been warned by our lecturers and our administrative staff, saying that you guys make sure that your petrol tanks are fully filled. Do not go to any of the petrol stations that are in and around the school, because there's been a number of cases reported of people that come from this this tertiary institution, and they've been hijacked, or you know, they've been robbed, because generally they know that those are working students, and 9 times out of 10 those people have laptops in their cars. I don't miss that fear. There's another lesson really that I learned. In as much as we are all very appreciative of frontline workers, I have really come to appreciate people that are in the arts. I can tell you unequivocally, had I not had some content to consume, I would have gone completely mad in 2020, because I lived alone. So even though I was working in the background, it still happens to this day. In the background, there's a podcast that's playing, there's a series that's playing, there's a YouTube video that's playing, and it's just sort of kept me company. I've always loved the arts. One of my dreams has always been to be in a theater production. But I really have come to appreciate people in the arts, and I would hope that similarly to my belief around teachers and nurses, that they would get paid enough money to show how much it is that they mean to society. That escapism, I cannot thank the arts industry enough for that. And I would hope that this channel, in some form or other, did bring, even though I've started just putting out videos this year, because last year I couldn't, that this channel really will be part of history, in the sense that it brought people some sort of joy. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I know this is a very long video of reminiscing 2020, and I hope that there have been some good things that have come out of 2020 for you, because for me too, there really were good things. It wasn't just a complete rubbish kind of year. There were really good things that came out of 2020, and maybe I'll make a list of them, and I will really talk maybe dive deeper into some of the things that I touched on, or maybe not, I don't know, we'll see. But thank you if you are new to this channel. Please do give this video a thumbs up, and also please do subscribe, because I endeavor to bring you a new video once a week, if not once every 2 weeks, on a Sunday. So look out for a new video every Sunday or every other Sunday. That's just gonna be entertaining, hopefully motivational, hopefully just, you know, random, because I live in the city and I'm quite random. Anyway, everyone, have a lovely week. Yeah, and keep hope alive. I know this is like, I hate this phrase in these unprecedented times. Keep hope alive. Just kidding, but also not. Bye.